So to answer, I think Ty was your question. Uh, like like Viz said, I would. There's no way. I didn't give my son no allowance. I told him same thing my dad told me. You get your allowance when you come to that kitchen table. That's your allowance. You get a meal, a hot meal on a daily basis. So he didn't get no allowance. Soon as he was tall enough to see over the lawnmower, he's outside cutting grass at the age of 8 years old. I didn't play no games. Now, my daughters would say, "You spoil him." I said, "Baby girl, you and your sister here, both washing dishes, folding clothes, washing clothes, doing all the other things. He has nobody here. He was the only child once they moved on. He was the only child. He had to take care of everything. He had to fold clothes. He had to wash dishes. He had to cut that grass. I didn't. My daughters never cut the grass one time just to learn how to do it. That was it. He always had to cut the grass. That was the thing I pushed in. Why? Because he's a young man, and there's more and high expectations. See, Ty, that's a double standards we talking about. He had to do certain things. He would have to go ahead and do out and get on home. Daughters, they stay there because they want to be well protected, like you said, until they marry. I told my daughter, you can stay here as long as you need to until you act like you grown. And then when you talk like I'm grown, cool. I'm going to treat you as such. I need half on this rent. I need some money on these bills. When you talk about it, you tell me you grown, I'm going to treat you as such because I don't raise no grown-ass man or woman. But like I said with my son, I made sure he had to do everything, learn everything he needed to learn how to cook, learn how to take care of himself. It was a must. So when he's out on his own, he could do that. Now he's off to college, playing college ball, he's able to do those things. It's not a thing he don't know how to do. He knows how to take it. And I didn't give him a dime. You got your allowance when you got new clothes, when you got new shoes every year for the basketball season. When you got to them AAU fees and we had to pay and make them travels, that was all your allowance right then and there. Don't ask me for no extra money. You know how I taught them how to manage your base money? Shout out to Monopoly. That's what we use. Ask them, what did you want to do when you grow up? What was your job? We looked it up. We Googled whatever the career choice he wanted to do. We looked how much it was going to cost him. Where do you want to live at? We found out how much apartments was costing out there. What kind of car you want to drive? Cool. And I used that Monopoly money and I took it from him. Hey, bud, you got to pay taxes. What's taxes out there in the state you want to live in? You got to pay those. And that's how you learn how to money. I also forced him to take financial literacy classes in high school. That was a must. He did it for 2 years. Matter of fact, I said, dude, as a freshman, why don't you take it? That's an easy A for you. You already know this shit. Take that class once you get to college. That's an easy A. So that's what I did with him. Force him. He didn't have a choice. You going to do it the way I want you to. Yes, you're going to college. If you go, as long as you're going to get a scholarship, you're going to college. Now, if you wasn't on scholarship, I wouldn't recommend you go to college. I recommend you get a trade. That's what I would do.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, everything that Hink just said, I think that goes back to what Di had brought up earlier when dealing with a young man that's in his 30s and he doesn't know what the fuck he want to do. He clearly, that is a part of him not experiencing that or no one holding him accountable when he was at that age. Because during that time period, when you're younger, those are the times that you're able to dream, right? You can come up with this outlandish thing. I want to be an architect. I want to be an astronaut, a firefighter, whatever, right? And eventually that evolves. That continues to evolve over the time period. Now, once you turn 18 or 17, okay, this makes more sense. I like this field more. And now you get to looking into it. And just like Luis said, you now continue to evolve down the path. That was a part of my journey. I started off, I've always wanted to be an artist. I started off painting shirts, painting walls, working at the mall. That evolved to tattooing. That then evolved to me getting into the film industry. So it's a part of a man's journey that starts at a very early age, that you have to be able to dream. And if no one is not only allowing for you to do that, but also putting you in a position to where you're exposed and you're able to think for yourself and for your own, and nobody is holding your hand the entire time, then that's how it happens. But if somebody is holding your hand the entire time, what the fuck you got to think for? My mama gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? My daddy gonna do it. My grandma gonna do it. Somebody else is gonna do it much rather than that person. You as a man, young man, doing it for yourself.
Yeah, and we had a conversation, one time on King Talk where we talked about, when dads, like when you're gonna go and work on the car, you're gonna change that oil. Don't go change the oil by yourself. Bring your son with you. You know what I'm saying? Show him how to change the oil. Where you remove the bolt, where you put the oil pan, all that stuff. When you have to renovate the house or you have to go paint, we are painting. You know what I'm saying? You bring your son with you to the Home Depot. Show him where everything is at, where all the tools, and go through that whole experience with them as if they're part of the team and they're also doing this as well. I went with my dad everywhere. Didn't matter. Buy a car, sell a car, get parts, paint, change the oil, change the tire. Didn't matter. I did everything. You know what I'm saying? In that, I learned all those. You'd be surprised how many men today at 25 don't even know how to change a tire, don't know how to change an oil to a car, and they don't even know how to do these things. They don't even know how to cook. And the list just keeps on going. And unfortunately, we are creating the most weakest, generation of young men. And sort of like when I hear these things at times, and I hear it from women, they're like, "Oh, he's just so disorganized. He doesn't know how to do this, doesn't know how to do that." You know. Again, I go back to wanting to see our young boys being confident, competent, and well-to-do, well-educated, and well-rounded, so they can find and align with women of their cloth that they can build a life with, right? But unfortunately, that they're just growing apart.
But
was
then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, one of the biggest problems that we see, and I know a lot of young men in our communities don't have both parents. So in that situation, me personally, I grew up in a single parent home. Now, what my mother did was put me around men in church that was solid as fuck. She put me in sports where I was around coaches or around men that was solid as fuck. Uh, in school, outside of school, in the streets. So with me being exposed to solid, good men, that 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 gave me the natural instinct to be drawn to them. And she also allowed for those men to chastise me, and she didn't get involved. So if you do have one of those type of men in your life that's willing to be a male role model in that young man's life, allow for him to toughen him up. If he got to hit him in his chest or whatever, don't baby him afterwards. Let him deal with that. But again, we got to step away from trying to coddle the children, the young boys, because that's your baby. You know what I'm saying? I get that's your baby, but your baby is gonna stay a baby until you check out of this motherfucker, and you're not gonna be proud of that.